Are you ready to transform your passion into a thriving business? Well, listen up. In this episode of Wholeness Wednesdays, we'll guide you through the journey of launching your own venture, turning what you love into a profitable endeavor. Discover actionable strategies, hear inspiring success stories, and learn how to navigate the challenges of entrepreneurship. Whether you're aiming to escape the 9 to 5 grind or seeking to diversify your income, this episode is your roadmap to making your passion your profession. Stay tuned.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or maybe it's evening. It doesn't really matter what time it is, and it doesn't even matter where you are. We want to welcome you to Wholeness Wednesdays. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and join our host, Beatrice Hutchison, as we explore and experience our journey to complete wholeness.
Hello, hello. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Completely Whole's Wholeness Wednesdays. Here on this channel, we explore pathways to a balanced and more fulfilling life. I am your host, Beatrice Hutchison, and today we're diving into a topic that's both inspiring and actionable. We'll be discussing from passion to profit, launching your own business. Now, in today's dynamic world, transforming your passion into a profitable venture is not just a dream, but it's an achievable reality. Let's explore how you can embark on this entrepreneurial journey for yourself. So, first, let's start off by talking about the power of passion in business, right? So, it does have a place, it has its place. So, let's talk about that. So, passion is a driving force that propels entrepreneurs to overcome challenges and to persist in their endeavors. So, passion is that driving force that no matter what challenge comes up, it allows you to continue to persevere, right, and to stick to the goals and the what you are trying to accomplish in business. And so when your business aligns with your passion, it fuels motivation and resilience. And so essential components, these are things that you need for long-term success. Because you will come up against challenges. Things will happen, but you have to stay the course and just continue to persevere. Next, let's talk about, let me give you some examples of some real life success stories, right? And so one is Joy Lynn Hunt, and she practically started from nothing, and she built three multi-million-dollar businesses, right? And so she built them from scratch. And so initially, when she came out of law school, she developed a law practice called the Hunt Law Group, and then a chain of income tax, like an income tax franchise, right? And then after that, she went on to open up a chain of beauty parlors, right? So hair salons. So initially it was three, and then it was five, and so she has some in Texas, right? She opened up five initially in Texas, and now has five in Louisiana. And so her journey underscores the importance of resilience, right? Uniqueness and continuous improvement. And so also self-care and an unwavering belief in one's limitless potential, right? So she started out in one place, started out from scratch, and built all of that. And so that's an example of what you can do if you put your mind to it. The next person I want to tell you about briefly is Young Soo Chung. And so after leaving his tech job, Young Soo invested $10,000 of his savings to start Urban EDC, an e-commerce business specializing in everyday carry items. And so through strategic community engagement and leveraging social media platforms like Instagram, he scaled his business to generate $1.3 million in sales by 2024. And so these are just a couple of success stories, but there are many, many out there. But I wanted to share them with you just that you know that it is attainable, right? And so if you work hard, it is certainly attainable also for you. Now let's talk about some steps to transform passion into profit, right? So we talked about, we gave some examples of others that are doing it. Now we want to talk about you doing it and you pursuing your passion, right? So what are some steps that you could put in place to help transform your passion into profit? So number 1, identify your niche, right? And so determine a specific market segment that aligns with your passion, right? So, what your niche is, what is the area that you are going to serve? And so, this focus allows you to cater to a targeted audience effectively, right? So, you can't set out to serve everyone everywhere, right? But it has to be in a certain area. And it should be to a certain type of audience, right? So whether it be male or female, it can be mothers, it could be fathers, it can be a certain age group, it could be to a certain class of people, it could a certain culture, it could be, I mean, the options are endless, but you do have to choose who your target audience is going to be, right? And so you want to develop or figure out what your niche is. Next, develop a minimum viable product. And so what is that really? So that's, it's like developing a prototype. So you create a simplified version of your product or your service and to a test market, right? So you identify a market that you would like to kind of set up, this almost like a pilot program, right? So you want to just have a test, run a test in the market and see how well your product will do. And so what that looks like is that, say, for example, it's a certain type of, say, digital product, right, that is geared towards working mothers. And so you would launch that gift, that particular product, but to that a certain market to see how well it does, right? And so from that, you can learn so many different things. And so this approach enables you to gather feedback and to make the necessary adjustments that you need without significant upfront investment, right? So as I mentioned, it's your prototype. So you get it out there and then you get some feedback before you launch it to the group or the audience at large, right? So you choose like a little pilot group, if you will, and then you launch your product to them, and then you see how well it does, right? Track your data, see how, get the feedback from it, see how well it works, and then take that feedback and improve upon what you've learned, and then now you can launch it to the greater audience. Next, you want to talk about leveraging the lean startup methodology. And so what is that? You want to adopt principles such as continuous deployment, split testing, and actionable metrics to iteratively improve your business models and offerings, right? So I like to think of that more so as like an ongoing monitoring, right? So you're constantly monitoring how well it's doing, constantly testing new things, new items, or different aspects of it, right? So constantly putting out little things just to kind of test and to improve upon what has already been released as a result of the feedback that you get and how well you see it performing. And so the next one I want to talk to you about is utilizing digital platforms, right? So you want to harness the power of social media. That's something many years ago we didn't have the luxury of, right? So, but now we do, as well as e-commerce platforms, to which will help you to reach a broader audience, right? And so you can engage. You have to put together some engaging content, right, and be consistent with your interaction, not to just put the information out, not to just put the content out, but to be consistently interacting with your audience, right? And so that means if someone comments, you respond, vice versa. You just make sure that you are interacting with them. And so what this helps to do is it helps to build a loyal customer base. So you want to definitely leverage things like, and you see many people now taking to YouTube, right? And also you can use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and people use all types of different platforms, but you want to be able to leverage social media to your advantage, right? Because people will engage in something or people will purchase something, right, from those that they trust. So you need to be out there and so that people can become familiar with you, right? So that they can gain that trust in whatever service you are, or service or product you are looking to serve them with. Next, we want to talk about seeking mentorship and networking opportunities, right? So you want to connect with other entrepreneurs and industry experts to gain insights, advice, and support. And I can't say this enough. It is very, very important about who you surround yourself with. Because if you do not surround yourself with the right people, you will have people discouraging you from your endeavor, right? And so you may not be able to stick to it. You may not be able to persevere through the challenges that you may face because you have the wrong people in your ears. And I've spoken about this before in past episodes. But it's very important that you get around like minded people, right? And especially people that are already or have already gone where you would like to aspire to, right? To in the places that you would like to get to. And so, even with networking, it can open up doors to collaborations and new opportunities as well. So, not only does it allow you to really be able to learn from the experience of others, right? But it also allows, it could open up some doors for collaborations and some other opportunities, right? Things that you didn't even know about. And especially if you're new starting out in this, there are so many opportunities and options out there that you may not be privy to, right? But once you begin to be in those types of venues and with those with different types of people, or people that are or pursuing the same endeavor or goals that you are, you'll begin to see some other things that could be helpful to you in helping you to prosper in your endeavor. Next, let's talk about overcoming challenges. And you've heard me say that a couple of times today already, that challenges will come up, right? And so that is definitely a fact. Entrepreneurship comes with its own set of challenges. And so that may include some financial constraints, right? And so what that means is that there may be some constraints because to run any type of a business, to launch it, to run it, it's going to take some financial obligation, right? And so you want to make sure that you have enough funds, right? And we're going to talk about in a minute on how we can make sure that we have the right things in place. But we have to make sure that that financial constraints may come up, that we understand that. And so does it mean that we don't embark upon the endeavor? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that we plan appropriately. Also, another challenge that can come up is market competition. So you want to make sure that you plan for the competition, right? What is going to make what you have to offer different than someone else, right? I mean, there are tons of people out there, and trust me, there is someone for everyone, right? And there's certainly enough money out there to be made by everyone, right? But you want to make sure that you understand that there is a market out there, right? So you want to do your market research. You want to look at other competitors, things that they're doing, and you want to think about how you can be unique in that thing, right? If I'm selling a planner and you're selling a planner, what's the difference between the two, right? So you want to add your own uniqueness to whatever service or whatever product it is that you are making available. And then also, you need to understand that another challenge that may come up may be self doubt, right? Or even feelings of fear, or even imposter syndrome, right? So these are all feelings that will come up. You may feel like, I don't think I can do this. I don't feel like I can make it. You can have fear of the unknown. I don't know what to expect. This is brand new. It doesn't feel comfortable. It's definitely stretching you out of your comfort zone, right? So there is going to be some fear that comes along with it. And it even maybe imposter syndrome, where you feel like, I don't belong here. This is not something that I am an expert in, right? And so for all of those things, these I'm mentioning them as challenges that may come up, and not that it deters you from embarking upon your entrepreneurial journey, but so that you are prepared for them, right? So that you can plan in advance. To be forewarned is to be forearmed, right? So that you can just put some things in place. These types of things will come up, so you want to put some things in place that will help you to navigate through those challenges and those challenging times. And so it's important that you have a clear vision, right? That you have do some strategic planning before you even embark upon this journey, right? You want to make sure that you do some strategic planning around it, right? You want to have a passion driven approach to it. And you want to understand that these obstacles that I mentioned can be transformed into learning experiences, right? I have a friend, and I've mentioned this before, who always says challenges are opportunities for growth, right? So it's never that you do something and you just are a complete failure. They're just opportunities to learn from, right? That will help to strengthen you as you move forward. And so it's important that you move forward and you see them as just stepping blocks, right? Steps that you can take to move towards your goal. And so if something doesn't work out as you planned, take the lessons from that and allow that to continue as you move on to help to propel you. And at least you've learned those lessons and you know not to make them again, but it also helps you to plan to make sure to prevent having those issues in the future, right? So you want to make sure that you do that because it will contribute to your growth and your success if you learn from it properly, right? And don't allow it to totally discourage you. But you want to make sure that you do that. And so I mentioned briefly about strategic planning. So that really means that you need to look at every aspect of the business that you are planning to embark upon, right? So you're looking at those things that you're passionate about, those things that, and it doesn't have to be something that you're passionate about, but we're talking today about moving your passion to profit, right? And so sometimes you don't really understand or realize those things that you are passionate about, but it's those things that you absolutely must have, right? Or those things that you must do, or those things that you absolutely hate that you see that happen, right? Like if you see someone mistreated, it may really, really bother you, right? So then that means it's your passion that people are treated fairly, right? Or that they're treated kindly. And I gave that as one example, but there are so many examples that you can look at. And so it's important that you plan strategically for whatever it is that you would like to embark upon. So that means you have to make sure that your budgeting is done, that you factor in what will be your overhead costs, you factor in what it would be to not just sustain the business, right? But then if there are products, how you have to set a budget for your products, you have to set a budget for your marketing. If you need to outsource different things, right, you need to make sure that you budget for all of those things, and then also include what it would cost to scale it, right? So you want to, when you do your strategic planning, it should not just include 1 year, right, but it should be out over the course of many years, right? Because then you want, this is my goal for this year, and then in the second year I'd like to achieve this, right? But with the budget, you want to be taking into consideration or into account each of those years, right? And so your goal may be, and I'm just gonna just float as just as a blanket. Of course, you would go much deeper than this, but you can say, okay, in my first year, I want to make $100,000, right? So next year, I want to be able to double that, make 200,000, right? And then by my third, fourth, fifth, by the sixth year, I want to be able to make $1 million, right? So that may be your goal. And I just gave those as roundabout numbers, but of course, it entails a whole lot of other pieces, right? But I said that just to share with you that you should be thinking out long term, right? Unless this is something that you just want to do for this year, because then that would be more so not a business, right? But that would be more so a side hustle. And we talked last week about, side hustles, because that is something that you use that could develop or evolve into a business, but usually the side hustle is just to make money right now. You need to do that to, get some more cash flow, or for whatever reason. Sometimes you can do it for a particular goal you have that you need additional cash for, right? But we're talking today about a business. So having your passion convert into profit, right? And so it's important that you think about it over the long term, right? Where do you want to be and how do you want to, your plan for scaling it within those times. So you may start out now and you may be the only person in your business, but then by next year you may have to outsource some things, right? Even especially as the business begins to grow. And then honestly, everyone is not good at everything, right? So if you don't know how to build websites, you may have to outsource that, right? So that know what you can do and what you cannot do. Sometimes, being perfectly honest, if you don't have the finances to outsource, initially you try to do everything yourself. But once you get to a place where you start to build and that you can outsource some things so that you free up your time so that you can continue to be innovative and continue to come up with new strategies and new ways to be able to serve your audience and the population that you are uh, providing the service to. And so it's important that you understand and that you do that, right? So you want to plan out over the years, right? And so eventually, maybe you want to scale into the point to where you are able to hire employees, right? So you want to have all of that in your strategic plan, right? It should incorporate everything from your budget to your plan to your vision to your audience, your niche, what service you want to provide in depth and detail, right? So it has to be very, very detailed, and it's going to require that you put a lot of thinking into it, that you also do some research, right? Market research, and it may even require that you go and do some additional training, right? Some you may need to understand how to do the different things, how to market, or to just be better in that particular business, right? Whatever it is, whatever the product is, right? Maybe you need to find out how to make the product better. So we talked earlier about making the prototypes that allow you to be able to, put something out there to test it and see how well it does and improve upon it and put it out again. But all of those things should be included in your strategic plan. It should incorporate everything that will be incorporated in your business. Okay, so very, very important that strategic planning, that you take some time to do that, because that will help you to move your passion to profit, right? As if you're intentional and if you work hard, as the stories I shared earlier about two individuals who started from scratch, pretty much, and built their businesses. And so now it is where they want it to be, and they're continuing to grow. And I only gave those two, but there are many that you can find that also have that same testimony, right? Or who've had that same experience. And so you can too. And that's why we're talking about it today, because I am on my way. I am not talking to you about anything that I'm not doing myself. So these are all things that I also do, right? Because I also have a mission and a purpose that I'm working towards. And so I wanted to share this with you tonight because I want you to know I shared those stories so that you know that you can do it, right? And understand that God is on our side. It is God that has given us the power to get wealth. And so many out there have wealth, and God is no respecter of person, right? So that means that if you put your mind to it and you work towards it, that you can have the very same thing. You can have your heart's desire if you work towards it. And of course, keep God in it, right? All right. So, just in final thoughts, I want you to understand that turning your passion into a profitable business is a journey. And I always say this, it doesn't happen overnight. So, don't think that you're going to be a millionaire overnight. They have lots of gimmicks and things out there where, oh, you'll be a millionaire overnight. Or if you do this, by next month, you'll have millions, you'll have billions, right? uh, it's not about that. It's not about being just making it right overnight, right? Because what happens is that if you don't go through a process, then you never learn how to sustain it. So if someone just helps you and all of a sudden by tomorrow you're a millionaire, there's some steps that are lost in there, right? So then if that person is not there or whatever it is that you did to acquire that, if they're not there or that's not there, then you have no idea on how to sustain it, right? So it's important that you take those steps, that you work, that you learn, that you research, that you do all of those things, because those things will not only help you to excel, right? But it will also help you to be able to maintain and to persevere. It'll help you to have that stability, right, in that thing. So you wouldn't have to look to others to help you stand, right? You'll have what you need to stand. And so it's not something that will happen overnight, right? It is a journey like everything else, and it requires dedication, adaptability, and a willingness to learn, right? So you have to be flexible. If something is not working, don't allow it to completely crush your hopes and your dreams, right? Just understand that this is something that I need to learn from. Now I need to be flexible. I need to adapt to whatever would be more effective, right? And always have the willingness to learn, to continue to learn. My apostle always says that in order to be an expert in an area, you need to read 100 books on that topic. And so leaders are always reading, right? And so you should always have that willingness to learn, always have that willingness to read. Maybe if you're not a good person with books, maybe you listen to Audible, right? But you need to get the information. You can take a master class, you can take a course, right? You can go back to school and get another degree. or get a degree, right? So you can do any of those things, but you always want to be willing to learn. And so, by the steps that by the following steps that I've outlined, and that I'll talk to you a little bit more about, we want to draw inspiration from those stories that I shared, right? And it's also important that you think about getting a mentor, right? Because a mentor could also help you along the way, and it's someone, of course, that is has been where you are going, right? Someone that has the experience that they can help you along the road and along the journey, right? And so this allows you to embark on fulfilling your path, right, towards entrepreneurship, whatever the goal of the task is. But understand that it not only brings financial rewards, but it will also bring personal satisfaction. Because if you're pursuing your passion, right, whatever it is that you want to serve or give to the world, right? Whatever it is that you were created for and dispatched to the earth to be able to provide to others, that thing, once you do it, it won't just prosper you financially, right? But it will also prosper you personally, because you feel so satisfied because you are doing the thing that you are supposed to do. So it's important that you understand that and that you know that. And so thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode of Wholeness Wednesdays. And so if you found anything that we talked about tonight to be insightful, please share it with someone, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I always want to interact with you. And so we'll talk a little bit later or in a moment about our call to action, right, on our challenge for this week. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But please understand, please share, write a review, interact, engage with us, because your support enables us to continue bringing you the content that inspires and empowers. And that is our goal here. So now let's talk quickly about our call to action. And so I'm always here talking about putting things into practice immediately, right? So we talked last week about putting some things into place, and we're going to talk about that again. So we want to implement the strategies that we've learned, right? And so if we do that, it can help to move us from passion to profit. So that's what we were talking about tonight. And so you want to write out a business plan. I talked a bit about the business plan, and you want to make sure that you include all the things I mentioned, right? You want to make sure that you put in a vision and a mission, right? So you know where you're going, what you are seeking to achieve. And then you want to decide how this endeavor will serve others, right? Because people will pay for a solution, right? Many people have challenges, many people have problems, right? And they are looking everywhere for answers. And so if you have their answer, people will definitely seek you for that answer. So you need to identify whatever it is. What problem does this solve? Even if it's a product, what problem does this solve, or what problem does this assist with? So you want to identify that. And then you also want to build out the budget, as I talked about. You want to make sure it includes all of your overhead, your operating costs, with your as well as your budget for all of the pieces that we talked about, the outsourcing, the marketing, and the scaling, right? And I mentioned about how to do that over some years. So after we finish here tonight, we want to put this into practice. I want you to take some time to sit down and write out your strategic plan, right? So think about what it is that you would like to move from just passion, right, into profit. What would you like to do, as far as what would you like to launch into a business? So before you do any of that, right, and then there are steps to set up a business properly, right? So there are definitely steps to that. But before you do anything, you want to make sure that you do your research, and you want to make sure that you develop a strategic plan about what you would like to accomplish, right? And then after writing out your strategic plan, you want to make sure that you have some actionable steps, right, to help you reach those goals and to help you to complete those tasks. So it's important that you structure yourself in that way, so that you have a roadmap to where you're going. And so you're not just walking blindly, because you won't be able to be successful or to sustain if you just go blindly, right? But you want to be very calculated, you want to be very strategic, and then you will be well on your way. So please, as you go through this process, please share your thoughts and your ideas. your experiences in the comments below. I certainly love to hear about your entrepreneur journey. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. And remember that, I am here as well. We're here. If additional support is needed, you certainly can send me an email at bhutch@completelywhole, the number 1.com, or you can visit my website at www.completelywhole, the number 1.com, and there you can go in and you can schedule a 30-minute free session with me to just kind of help and assist you on this process to entrepreneurship that you are deciding to embark upon. And so thank you so much for your time tonight. And I am your host again, Beatrice Hutchinson. And remember that your journey to wholeness, complete wholeness that is, it starts here. And so as we end, we always affirm together. So please repeat after me. I decree that God has already given me the power to get wealth. And I declare that I will use that power to work to receive my financial breakthrough now. My prayer for each of you is that you will receive revelation, strategy, and complete wholeness financially and also in every area of your life. Until next time, take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. Pursue your passions and be made whole.
We thank you for sharing this time with us here at Wholeness Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us to explore and experience this journey to complete wholeness. Please remember that we are only an email away. Your questions and input are welcome via bhutch@completelywhole1.com. See you next time here at Wholeness Wednesdays.